Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Sega Game Gear. See the backs off this one. This one I've already recapped, and then I've obviously found it in a box and done it a while ago, but it says horizontal lines only, needs a screen. So we'll test it just to make sure, but usually when these things get horizontal lines, they're quite difficult to fix, and it's easier just to replace the screen. So what I've got is we've got an IPS screen here, which will pop in it. And what I'm going to do too, I've actually got a nice bright orange aftermarket shell. But the first thing we'll do is we'll hook up a power supply to this and we'll see what it does do. Right, so I've got just a good 9 power supply there, hooked it up to the bench power supply, 9 volts, chuck the game in. Let's just turn this on and have a look. There you go. Definitely got horizontal lines going through there. So the game's definitely going, but yeah, we're going to have to replace that screen. Alright, let's get stuck into it. So just the first thing we need to do, we just need to remove a couple of Phillips screws. We've got one there, one there, one there, one up there, one up there, and one there. And then we'll be able to move this whole board out the front. And the other thing I forgot you do have to remove as well is the 2 large Phillips screws at the cartridge slot. Right, now that's done, we should be able to just lift this out. There we go. Like so. Rubber buttons. That's pretty good. Right, so what we'll do is we'll put this aside. We will need the speaker out of this, which we'll get later. But we'll put this aside and we'll now work on getting the screen off. So what we're going to do next is we've got another 4 Phillips screws, one there, one there, one there, one there. And that'll remove this little piece here. And that actually holds the screen as well on the front. So we'll just undo those. Right, now we've undone that, you can see the screen comes off, and we should be able to just gently wiggle this piece out as well. Don't need that anymore. Now we do have to remove some parts off this, which I'll show you. Got to remove the tube, remove the fuses for the tube as well. The good thing about these new IPS boards is you don't really have to remove any components, you can just leave them on there. But yeah, just removing the tube and just the fuses off here just gives us a bit of room for our new IPS screen. So what I'll do is I'll turn on my soldering iron and we'll remove the tube and the fuses. Right, I'll remove those. So next thing we've got to do is we've got to remove the old screen, which is these connections along here. But first thing we have to do, we have to remove this green tape from the back of the board, because that's just holding it on there. So I'll just do that. Right, I've removed that tape off there, and then next thing we've got to do, just flip it over, and you'll see there's sort of a little bit of pressure on here, which is good because that's what we need. We want to sort of just put some flux along here, and then we'll get our hot air gun and then just heat it up slowly, and this thing will just eventually come off. So I'll just put some flux on and then I'll show you the process of this thing coming off. Right, flux is on there. There's the hot air gun. And all we do is we just heat up this, and it should eventually just come off. That's the idea anyway. Like that. Just like that. And that's off. So now we'll clean this up and be ready for the next stage. To clean it up, I just put a little bit more flux on there. Just get your soldering iron and some solder braid and just run it along here. So all we're going to do is just clean the pads up really. Right, that's all done. It's nice and tidy. As you can see, they're all good to go. And then what we do next is in the kit you get this little piece here. So this piece actually goes down on here, and we can solder that on, and that connects the old ribbon cable connections we need to the new LCD screen. And as you can see on here, it actually says you start the first one. Oops. The first one we start at is pin number 9. It's the first one we need to solder on. And all you do is on the boards, it actually shows you where pin number 1 is. So we just count up to the 9th pin, and that's the one we start on. So I'll show you how I do that. Right, so I've counted up to pin 9, which is there. And the good thing about it is you've actually got to connect to 3 points here as well. And these are quite large connections. So what I normally do is I sort of normally connect these ones first. Just solder those on. One there, and one there. And that sort of keeps this ribbon in place. And then it's just easier to just get these ones, because there's not many you have to solder up along here. But what I'll do is I'll put these 3 on first, and then we'll do those ones. Right, so I'll just tap those 3 on, which I've done there, and then always check your work as well. Just keep counting up to the 9th pin. And what you can do, you can actually just move this slightly just to make sure it's all lined up. And then what I do is I just normally just tap 1 at the end there, get that connected, tap 1 at this end here, get that connected, and then do the rest. So I'll just put a little bit of flux on, and I'll do that now. Right, that's done, and I'll just give them a bit of a clean up. Isopropyl alcohol on here. Then what I will do, I will just test them with my multimeter just to make sure we do have continuity there. So I'll just quickly do that. Alright, so all we do, get our beepy bit going. Just put 1 there and 1 here. Yep. Excellent. So they're all connecting well. So that's that part done. Right, what we do next, we now got to connect up these pieces. This one's for the clock, and this one's for the brightness adjustment and all that kind of stuff. So we flip them over, and there's a couple of points we need to solder these onto on this side of the board. So I'll just quickly show you that now. Right, so the first one we'll do will be this one. We only use the red wire on this one. The black wire we can just snip off at the end here. But the red wire connects to, I don't know if you can see it, this is a single chip version. So it connects to the FB1 there. Just connects to that one there. So we'll connect that. If your version is a dual chip version, the red wire actually connects to, there's a couple of capacitors on this side of the clock. It connects to the bottom of the top one or the top of the bottom one on those. But so what I'll do is I'll connect this one first, and then we'll go on to the next one. Right, so I've connected that onto there. And next thing we'll do is we'll get our board, and we'll probably mount that, because it's got some points here where the screws go through, but we actually just solder that, use them as ground points. So I'll do that now. So the first thing we'll do, we'll flip the board over, because we're going to have to plug this ribbon in first, and that just goes into that connection there. So you just flip that up. Now this board has to go on the front like that. It can be a little bit tricky to sort of get it in place. What you can do, you just flip it over. You can pop them in. Oh, fiddly is. Pop them in. Once he's in place, you can just flip that down. Right, it's crooked. Okay, so I mean it's just a bit of a pain in the butt, this one. There we go. And then you can sort of tuck it under like that, just gently. Or maybe this side first. And just try and get it under there. There we go. Because it sort of has to bend around. It's a little bit fiddly, but once we sort of do that, then we can sort of line these holes up. You can see that the holes line up with the original holes. And all we need to do is just put some blobs of solder in there, and that'll just hold that board nice and stable on this board. So I'll do that now. So there you go. I've soldered them in there, and then I've just sort of done these earth points, just lots and lots of solder on there, another little one there. And what I've done is I've just plugged in this cable, and I've plugged in the other cable ready to go. Just makes it a little bit easier. And I'll show you where these wires connect on this single chip board now. Right, so the first two we'll solder will be the red and the black, and they go to the contrast wheel, which is this one here. So you've actually got four points on the contrast wheel here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the red goes to the second one down, and the black goes to the third one down. So I'll get those soldered in now. Those two are soldered in. So what you can do once you've done that, you can sort of tuck the wires away so that they're not going to get caught on anything. You know those ones are done, they can be just sort of tucked away in there like that. And then we've got 3 more left. I'll show you where these next 3 go on this board. Right, so the yellow goes to the right hand side of capacitor 38, which is that one there. So what I'll do is I'll just put a little bit of flux on there on that right side, just to give us a nice joint. Put a little bit more solder, and then I'll connect the yellow one onto that. Right, that's on there. Now the blue wire goes to C37, which is this one here, and it goes to the left hand side of C37. So again, I'll put a bit of flux, a little blob of solder, and then I'll connect the blue wire to that one. Right, done that. And then the last one we got is the green wire, which goes to the bottom of C36, which is right there. So the bottom of that capacitor. So I'll do the same on that one. Right, that's all done. So all those wires are finished. Sort of push them down a bit. I'll just clean up those joints with a bit of isopropyl alcohol where I put the flux on. And then we will put our power supply on and plug the screen in and give the board a quick test. Right, so how the screen goes in, of course it goes like that way. So all we've got to do is we've just got to flip up the little black piece here. Just carefully with your fingernails. Plug the board in. Plug the screen in, I mean. Like so. And just push that back down. Right. So what I'll do now is I'll hook up the power supply. And we'll give it a quick whirl. Right, got our power supply hooked up. Got a game in here. I've just angled this a little bit because the light was shining down on it. Let's give this a go and see if it works. Oh, look at that. Brightness should work. Yeah, perfect. Right, we know that's all go now. So what we'll do is we'll then get our new shell and we'll start putting that together. I think we do have to do, we need the speaker out of this old one. So quite easy to do. These are actually just stuck in there, which all I do is I just get a little screwdriver and just flick that off. There you go. That speaker now comes straight out, and I'll give that a clean up. And then we'll go from there. Right, we've got our new front here. What's cool about this aftermarket shell is it comes with sort of the extra pieces, how you can actually just snip that out if you're not using an original screen, which we'll have to do with the IPS. And this one's a dual speaker one as well, which is pretty cool. So I've got the original speaker and I've got another one, so I can do that. And you will need a dual audio board as well. So it looks pretty similar to the original one, except it has 2 audio outputs, so we can connect those up. So what I'll do first is I'll probably mount these speakers first. We'll have to extend the wires on one of these because it won't be long enough to go around the shell and reach the audio board. So I'll do that, pop those in, and then we'll pop the screen in. Right, so I've got both speakers in there, just a bit of wire, connected it to an old connector, and just put some heat shrink tubing there. Next thing we'll do is we'll snip out this surround here, and then we'll mount our screen. Right, that's done. And so we get our new screen. It's quite easy. We'll just remove the adhesive, and it just pops on and goes in there like so. So I'll quickly do that now, and then we'll go on to the next stage. Right, that's in there now. That's what I like. When you order these, I'll put the link below on AliExpress, but when you order these, you can actually just choose the screen itself, or you can choose them like I did that already has it pre-laminated on the glass, which just makes it so much easier, because that's all you need to do. Right, now we'll get the buttons, put all those in, and we'll get on to putting the motherboard back in. One thing I found interesting with this one is it actually has a different type of button that goes here, which is quite cool. It has one that goes through the front, and then this goes on the back, and looks like it screws on through like that. So that's pretty cool. I haven't seen that design before. Different from the original, but yeah, we'll get that on and see what it looks like. Right, so the buttons are in, and one thing they don't give you with the case is rubbers, so I've had to clean up and reuse the original rubbers, which is fine. So now we get the main board, and we're going to have to put this in there while trying to get these cables to stay out of the way. So I'll pop that in, and then we'll screw it down back in the original place that it goes on. Right, I've got the screws in there. One thing I have noticed with this one is it doesn't have screw posts underneath for the two on either side of the cartridge holder. Should be right, it's riveted to the board, so that should be fine. And it doesn't have that top screw there either. It doesn't have a post on the other side for that, so that's fine. So yeah, that's in. Everything feels alright. This is quite unusual, this thing here. We'll see if it's all go. So what we need to do now is we need to plug our screen into our ribbon cable. Sorry, our ribbon cable from the screen into the motherboard. And these can be a bit fiddly because I've noticed that the screen is a little bit over to the side compared to this, and it's always like these with these kits. So you've got to sort of just fold them in and just get them into place. It can be a bit tricky, but once it's in, it stays in there. So I'll do that, and then we'll get onto the back. Alright, so here we have the back, and you'll notice it doesn't have any battery terminals and stuff in it, but it does come with everything we need here. Comes with the wires and everything as well, because there is two that we do have to wire from this bank to that bank. So we'll get stuck into that. I'll clip in these first, and then we'll go from there. Right, so I've popped all the terminals in. Now I've just got to solder up a few. If you're not quite sure which way they go, just grab an old back, and that shows you exactly where everything goes and where the wires connect. That's all I do. So right, I'm going to pop this over and just copy these wires and connect them all up now. Right, that's all done. Soldered up. Good to go. So what we need now is to get our amplifier board and our power board, and we'll mount these. So it's just a matter of putting it in there, two screws in there, power board, and it gives you a nice orange switch as well, which is cool. Mount that in as well. Cool. It's looking pretty good, so I'll screw those in now, and then we'll get on to the next stage. Right, so those are all screwed in now, ready to go. The good thing about this kit, it actually came with a few other bits and pieces as well. Like it came with this piece here if you wanted to replace the power board with the USB-C version, and it even came with the little cover there that goes on the motherboard as well, which we will chuck on. And it's come with this piece too, and I think this must be oh, that goes in conjunction with the USB-C piece. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Right, we'll grab the main board and we'll get this thing all plugged up. So bear with me. Power goes in there. And our audio board. So we've got our 2 speakers. 1. 2. And on this board it does have a mono and stereo switch. Make sure it's on the stereo side. That one there. That's pretty much us. And then we make sure as our wires are out of the way so they don't get trapped. And then we just button this thing back up. I see. That's what that little piece is for. I've got to mount that little bit there. It's obviously designed for if you use video out. There you go. I'll quickly mount that and then we'll put it together. Right, so I've buttoned all that up. The cool thing is it comes with a, normally when you mount these screens that screws about here and you can't reuse it, but this one has a screw higher, so it actually is quite cool because it keeps it all together. So what we've got to do now is pop on our little cover here. For the external. And this one actually comes with little stickers as well, so I'll put those stickers in place. We'll pop some batteries in, and then we'll give it a whirl. Right, got our batteries in, good to go. Let's chuck in Sonic and Tails, turn it over, but the first thing we'll do, most satisfying bit, is pulling off this. Look at that. Beautiful. Right, let's give it a crack. Ooh, that goes loud. All right. Oh, it's working awesome. And look at the screen, just so good. And you can, you still got your contrast or your dimming there. Dual speakers. It's so loud, ridiculous. You can scare everyone with that. Oh, cool. Oh well, hope you liked that video. It's a pretty cool case actually. Pretty cool. Yeah. Well, I hope you liked that video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I'll be bringing out videos every Friday. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this. And we'll see you in the next one.